I get questions from you. Some of you know that I run, and I do these crazy runs like 200 miles. And so I get these questions, how did you start? Why do you do it? So I wanted to take this occasion to answer those questions, but also to motivate to do more. So a giant leap into ultra running. And it all started with failure, right? On July 17, 2011, let's say that date, I tried to go on the bicycle and I tried to climb up Kings Mountain Road. And it's just 3 miles. It's uphill and it's kind of challenging but not impossible. So you can start and you go up Kings Mountain Road, and here this is an incredibly beautiful road. So I start climbing up, and you see those guys coming down really fast, but you have to go up. And at some point I had to stop. I couldn't do it anymore, and I ran out of water. I said, I could do it 2 years ago. What changed? This guy that you see here is climbing on his pedals and getting to the top. I couldn't. I took the easy way out. I turned around, those other guys are coming down, and that's it, and I was home. So that was something that told me, hey, there is a problem here. I have to do something about it. What can I do about it? I said, I'm going to run every day. Every morning I'm going to wake up 30 minutes earlier on weekdays. And then on Sundays I will try and do a longer run. That was all I had in mind. So I started doing those 30 minutes. I was doing maybe 3 miles at the beginning in those 30 minutes, but something strange happened. My Sunday run, they started getting longer and longer. So I was at 7 miles in September 2011, and then 9, and then 10, and then 11, and then 13, and then 15. I was like, what's going on? I didn't know I had it in me. And so I said, well, if I can run 15 miles in a train run just going out of my home, well, I can run a marathon, right? It's just 26.2 miles. It's 11 miles more. Why not? And so my wife convinced me to enroll into the San Francisco Marathon that year, in 2012. So July 2012, I had never run a marathon distance before that day. So I show up 5 a.m. in San Francisco, beautiful marathon, challenging, and I run it and I actually finish it. And so I'm like, well, it was tough. I remember mile 22, I was like, why am I doing this, right? But then, I got to the end, I was really happy. I finished it. I didn't know. I was like, they asked me, what will be your finishing time? And I don't know, I have no idea, maybe 4 hours. And the other thing that happened is, it's this explosion of the ultra running world in the latest years. Maybe it's me, I don't know. But there was this book called Born to Run by Chris McDougall. And I started reading this book and I'm like, he's talking about these guys that are running like 50 miles, 100 miles in the mountains in Tahoe. These guys are absolutely insane. But it was a really interesting, I really highly recommend this book, right? And I was like, wow, this is a whole world out there. Who knows? One day in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll be able to do 50 miles, right? That's what I thought. It was 2012. So I started, I kept on doing what I was doing, and so these are my marathon times. 3:35 was the first one. 3:19 the year after, I was like, wow, that's great. I'm qualified for the Boston Marathon. And then, I started running the Boston Marathon every year. As you can see, my times improved, or not constantly, but, except for last year, it was a year of terrible weather, headwind and lots of rain, so I still managed to stay under the qualifying time. So, every year I go back to Boston and I run the Boston Marathon. And, in 2011 I had never run a marathon, right? So for me it was an incredible discovery. But then the other thing is, I started to run longer races. I said, okay, I run a marathon, why don't I try 50K? And so in December 2012, I ran my first 50K. And then in April next year, the year after, in 2013, my first 50 mile. And then a 100-mile race. And then 120. And then I said, why not try 200? I mean, why not? It's easier than 100 miles, guys. I can tell you that this much. So in 2016, I ran the Tau 200.
Outrunning the battery coverage of my Chevy Bolt.
How much is it?
240 miles.
240. Okay, so I will try Well, let's get to that. Right? Okay. So last year I tried outrunning his battery. I enrolled into a 250-mile race, and unfortunately I had to stop due to pneumonia. So that's why 185. I had to stop 185, and you know that was the first DNF. DNF means did not finish. That was my first DNF era. I ran around 20 races now. That was my first DNF. I'm gonna try again this year, right? So this year though, what I did, I said, I'll try something different. I will try.
What are you running away from?
You know, the thing is, I always go back to the same place. You know, you run around Lake Tahoe and you end up where you finish. That's the irony of this racing. So, but it wasn't always easy peasy. I mean, you know, you're pushing your body, you have to be careful. And so in 2013, I started getting plantar fasciitis, which I had it until probably, you know, last year. Morton's neuroma was another thing. I got a stress fracture after that 120-mile run. I got pneumonia last year during that race.
What else needs to happen?
I don't know. It's all exciting. Pneumonia. That's all, you know. That's why I'm doing this stuff. So my body is telling me, I think that you are learning a lot. And I started sharing this knowledge. And so, I don't know what happened behind me, but I will say it in the video. So I started sharing the knowledge. I said, okay, Ultraleap. I can build a channel on YouTube explaining people how to make the leap into ultra running, right? Because I was there. And so I started documenting what works for me in terms of shoes, in terms of other, you know, insoles or running base. And I got to an audience of, you know, right now almost 1,300 people that are interested in what I'm sharing. That's telling me that, you know, there are a lot of people that are on the same path, and I hope that this is useful for them as well. So let's go to the most frequent question. What's the most frequent question, you guys, that I get?
Why?
You got it. Why? Why you did this to yourself? Is your body telling you something? And the answer is, you know, I don't know. It's exciting to see what I can do and to explore my limits, right? And by the way, I have fun. So if you look at my videos, so you figure out that I'm actually enjoying it. There are some parts in those movies that will be interesting to show, like for example in Bigfoot. After 194 miles, I felt suddenly refreshed. And I'm like, what happened? I don't know, I feel like I just started running. So I started running as if I was running. I had this energy boost. Maybe it was the lack of sleep. I had only slept 2.5 hours in the last 3 nights. I don't know what it was, but I started really outrunning everybody. I did the second fastest time in the last 30 miles of the whole race. And I was like, wow, this is new. So there is always something new to discover. And hopefully it's always good thing to discover, not a bad thing. I'm doing it because it's fun. You guys may not believe it, but you should try, and then you can tell me, right? And so, but this is my favorite question, is what's next? So 2018, I said, okay, I did the Bigfoot 200, which is 206 miles, and as you can see from my shirt, I don't know if you can read it, but it's 43K feet of elevation. And that's just, you know, a lot of elevation to go through in even in 200 miles. So I finished that in 82 hours, 82 hours and 3 minutes, 2.5 hours of sleep. And then less than a month later, I said, okay, let me do Tahoe 200. And I finished that in 77 hours and 27 minutes. 1 hour of sleep over 3 nights. And so you also discovered that you don't need a lot of sleep. I didn't know. You know, that I can average, you know, 20 minutes of sleep per night. That's pretty useful sometimes, right? And now I'm going to try again more up to 40 just to outrun Hanan's battery, about 240 miles. And so that's going to be exactly 1 week from now. So if you follow me live, there are all of these races they have. I would have started 3 hours ago, 1 week from now, so less than 1 week from now. So you can follow us live because we have this GPS transmitter. If we get lost, which I get lost all the time, they can come and get you. Emergency crews, or if you have pneumonia and you can't move forward, they can come and get you. So they have a GPS transmitter to know where you are. So that makes us visible on the map. So why am I doing this? Because I just want that, the triple crown of 200s, right? Running 200-mile races in less than 3 months, actually more than 200. So that's right now my target. Right now, that's what's next for me. It's interesting that, knowing that I could push in my running also tells me I can push also in my everywhere, in my professional life, right? I can actually tackle things that maybe I would not tackle before. It's all a question of where you think you can add value, and just a question of having the confidence to go in there and do it. And the other thing is also continuous growth, right? We all age, we all think that, hey, at some point, that's where I am, I'm content. No, I can improve my running, I can improve in any direction. Bottom line, I think that the exploring the limits and finding out what really you can do, it's something that it starts from running, but it goes everywhere. And if it's not running that really excites you in something else, I think that discovering your limits and pushing it is all that it takes, and you may have failures, but you may keep on going. So just one thing, stay alive. That's the only thing that matters, right?
I would like to thank you for doing it, because that gives us some bragging rights that we know a person as crazy as Cesar.
All right, crazy is a compliment. I take that every day.
I have a question, Cesare. Does your wife also run?
She was the original runner in the family. Our first date, she said, why don't we go running? I was not running at all. I'm like, sure, let's go. During that run, she was doing all the talking, and I was just listening because I was saving my breath. And I guess that worked out because, she thought, oh, this guy is a good listener. So she's following me as a crew, and she's helping me a lot, following me along the course in these 200-mile races. All right. Thank you, guys. That's all I have.